I was running for governor, and so more appropriate answer really is as I was running around the states, just getting calls. I'm sharing the question that I had was, hey, you're in front of you picture yourself in 2027, you're in front of the next governor of Texas. What did you say to fix this first? That's my standard question. What would you say, what did you fix first?
What do you want the governor's top priorities to be?
Correct, right? The one thing, and everybody's like, just one thing, yeah, you get one thing. And what I had all kinds of answers, anything from get rid of Trump, fix the permanent
Got it.
transportation, do you name it, right?
The majority of the answers were, hey, all good, you? Whether it's teacher salary, stuff like that, money for schools,
Getting for certain.
yeah. Oh yeah, whether it's TJ.
Oh, you're with TJ. I was like, oh wow, you look a little different, man. It's probably the facial hair going on.
Hello, thank you everyone for coming. If you can please begin taking your seats, we will be getting started shortly. Thank you very much. Please begin taking your seats.
I actually saw that the other day. That was wild.
Tell them we're having some audio issues. Right. Okay, folks, we're going to go ahead and get started now, beginning with a few words and an introduction from the president of the Texas College Democrats Statewide Federation, Manami Krems. Sorry, everyone. I believe we're having
little bit
some
behind.
mild technical difficulties with the audio from the Google Meet. Apologies for the slight
Would you like me to start
delay.
over? Okay. Hi. I'm sorry. I think I will just start over. Thank y'all to everyone that made it out to the University of North Texas campus. I'm a student at UT Austin, but I'm originally from North Texas, so I'm so glad that we can connect with everyone out in North Texas as well. But my name is Manami Krems. I'm the president of Texas College Democrats, and I'm going to keep my introduction brief just because we are running a little bit behind. But I just want to start with special thank yous to all of our candidates who came out here.
I'm
And
very
then
sorry, Manami, if you
a
can
special
hear us,
thank
we
you
are
as
having a
well to our
difficult
special
time hearing
guests,
you.
Representative Trey Martinez Fisher and Denton County Democratic Party Chairwoman Delia Parker Mims. And then thank you to everyone in this room for supporting college Democrats that want to get involved, for supporting young Democrats. And just wanted to share with y'all that we're still tabulating our final estimations, but so far this semester, Texas College Democrats have registered about 6,000 student voters statewide. We're looking at really mobilizing our members to vote in the constitutional elections coming up. And we are really looking forward to kicking off the primary season, being involved, and looking forward to finally turning Texas blue. So without further ado, I would like to introduce our next guest. Vice Chair of the Denton County Democratic Party, Billy Power.
Sorry, Manami, we're having some audio issues, so what we're going to do is we're going to jerry rig it a bit and I'm going to put you up against the mic so that the folks here can hear you.
Okay. Just let me know. Were you able to hear anything last time?
No, none of the speakers in here were connecting well with the Google Meet, so I'm just going to put you up against the mic right here. Can you do a mic check real quick?
Hello.
One more time?
Hello.
Yeah, that's good. Good. Okay, we'll figure it out.
Okay. Well, thank y'all and thank you for being so patient. I think third time will be the charm, and I'm going to keep it super, super brief just so that we can get to our wonderful speakers. Yes, my name is Manami Krebs. I'm the statewide president of Texas College Democrats. Super thankful to see all of your faces. I am a junior at the University of Texas at Austin, but I'm originally from North Texas, so super happy that we can continue to expand Texas College Democrats into North Texas. And I'd also like to give a special thank you to all of our candidates, to our special guests, Representative Trey Martinez Fisher, and Vice Chair of the Denton County Democratic Party, Billy Power. You'll get to hear from them soon. And to wrap up, we are still tallying our final numbers, but so far this semester, Texas College Democrats have registered about 6,000 student voters statewide. And we're really looking forward to mobilizing our fellow students during the Texas constitutional election season. And as primary season begins to kick off, once again, we're so thankful for all of you candidates for coming and speaking to the students. And I would like to introduce, without further ado, Denton County Democratic Party Vice Chair Billy Power.
Sorry, just to. Is this on? Sorry, I don't think this mic is working right now. You know what? There we go. Unfortunately, due to some traffic issues, Mr. Poor is delayed. As we all know, the Denton construction gets the best of all of us. So for now, we're going to move on to the next piece in our programming, which will be the wonderful keynote speech from State Representative Trey Martinez Fisher. Make sure the audio stops. Sorry, we seem to be having some audio issues on our end again. If someone could just double check that really quick, just do whatever we did last time. Sorry, we seem to be having some audio issues on our end again. Okay, we can now hear the Google Meet, so if you want to go ahead and do a quick mic check, Representative Fisher.
Sure, mic check, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3.
There we go. We're good. We're good. Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Awesome. I can see you clapping, but I can't hear you. Well, let's do it this way. If for some reason you can't hear me while I'm talking, if you, AJ, would you just wave at me so I know that something's wrong, okay? I want to thank everybody for being here. My name is Trey Martinez Fisher. I'm a state representative from San Antonio, Texas. I'm in my 12th term. Just to give you some perspective, there are 150 of us in the Texas House. And with my years of service, I think I am the 5th most senior Democrat in the State House, and I'm the 10th most senior member out of 150. I've been there a long time. I've seen a lot, and I've seen this state change little by little over time. And I will tell you that this change is happening because of the work being done on the ground at college campuses. So I'm really excited to be able to speak with people from, college Democrats throughout the state. Thankful for Manami for all her work, and AJ, thank you for pulling this together there on your campus. This is where it's going to get done. We did not lose this state overnight, and we're not going to win it back overnight either. So for those of us that just were kind of the generation and mindset that we can order something on our app and go pick it up at Starbucks 5 minutes later, it doesn't happen that fast in politics. When I started in politics, there was a Democratic majority in the Texas House. And so I know what it's like to serve under a Democratic speaker. I know what it's like to value public education, to respect workers, to respect women, to respect people for who they love. I remember those times when we had those freedoms, and we have lost those freedoms, but we can only get it back by playing this long game, and it begins on your college campus. This is very simple demography, folks. You look at the number of people being born and turning 18 every year in this state, and they may not know that they're Democrats, but let me tell you what they think. They think that they ought to have an excellent public education. They believe everybody should have a quality healthcare plan in case they get sick. They believe that your zip code is not your destiny. They believe that they should have clean air and clean water. They believe in medical privacy for their bodies, and they believe that they can love without judgment. Ladies and gentlemen, those people that are turning 18 every single year have our values, and those are our future voters. While this state is exploding with a young, diverse population, we need to do more to make sure that they are engaged and that they have not given up on the Texas dream of turning this state around. That's what I'm committed to doing. I've been doing it now for 23 years. I'll do it for another 23 years if I know I have good partnerships throughout the state. You're going to have a fantastic forum today, and I applaud every single candidate that was willing to make time to be at your forum. I know it's not easy. I've never run statewide. We have a number of friends in this primary, very good people, every single one of them. We will have to make that hard choice to get behind the best person that we think can take us forward in November. And I just want everybody to know that we may be on different teams between now and March, but come April, we are on one team, and that is the Texas Democratic Party. We have one mission, and that is to elect Democrats across the state. And we have one goal, and one goal only, is to turn out this state of Texas vote by vote, block by block, precinct by precinct, county by county. We have our work to do, but it's this young energy that's going to get us over the finish line. So I'm very thrilled and honored. And AJ, you haven't raised your hand, which means you can hear me. I look forward to seeing you all, meeting you all. If you want to stay engaged with my office, we're pretty active on socials. You can find me on TMFTX on X. You can find me on Real TMFTX on Instagram. We have a lot to say. And if there's anything that I could do to be of service to you, whether it's in my hometown of San Antonio, Texas, or in my adopted town of Austin, Texas, please let me know what I can do to further the interests and the goals of the Texas College Democrats. Thank you.
Thank you very much, y'all. And sorry, Manami, if you can mute your mic. But thank you so much for those great words from our Texas College Democrat President and State Representative Trey Martinez-Fisher. Those were great, inspiring speeches, and I am proud to be working alongside them, as well as every other Democrat watching this video, watching this stream, or here in the audience. With that being said, if we can swap the stuff back over to the slideshow. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. And we will begin. Well, I might as well go ahead and introduce myself. I am AJ Perez, the chairman of the UNT College Democrats, as well as programs director for the Texas College Democrats, and I will also be your moderator and host for tonight's festivities. Thank you very much. Well, y'all, the rules of today are pretty simple. Each of our candidates will get 2 minutes to introduce themselves, as well as have some time to answer 3 questions that I have pre-written, as well as at the very end, we will be pulling out questions that people from our membership and around the area have submitted so that we can go ahead and get the best answers we can from the folks asking for our votes. Now, with that being said, we will begin with some of our Senate candidates weren't able to make it, but they were able to send in some videos, so we will be beginning with those. Starting with a video from State Representative James Tallarico. Oh. Sorry, we can just test the audio on that one more time.
Thank the Texas College Democrats for inviting me.
Oh.
Hey y'all, it's James Tallarico. I want to thank the Texas College Democrats for inviting me to be part of your forum and for the work you're doing to organize on campuses all over the state. When I was a student at the University of Texas, I served as president of the University Democrats, the same kind of club many of you.
Yeah, how do I turn that off? Sorry about that, everyone. Everything's a learning curve, right?
Hey y'all, it's James Tallarico. I want to thank the Texas College Democrats for inviting me to be part of your forum and for the work you're doing to organize on campuses all over the state. When I was a student at the University of Texas, I served as president of the University Democrats, the same kind of club many of you are part of today. We organized for student tuition relief and fought to make college more affordable for everyone on our campus. That experience shaped my life and my career. I didn't come from money or connections. I was born to a single mom who believed education could change her child's life, and it did. That's why I became a public school teacher, and it's why I'm running for the U.S. Senate, to make sure every young person in Texas has the same shot I did. Right now, young people are being crushed by the cost of tuition, housing, and debt. Wages are too low, healthcare is too expensive, and politicians in Washington spend more time fighting each other than fighting for us. Our campaign is about changing all of that, about taking on the status quo and taking power back from billionaires to give it to working people, to young people, and to students who are shaping the future of this state and this country. Thank you for your energy, your activism, and your hope. You are the future of Texas, and together we can build a state that finally belongs to all of us.
And Representative Tallarico, if you're watching this later on, thank you very much for responding to us and sending in your video. Next up, oh, you've got to be kidding me. Okay, we seem to be having some technical difficulties with the video from former Congressman Colin Allred. If we will move on for now. If we can get that resolved soon, we will. And if we can't, I will upload the video on our socials later on so folks can still see it and hear it. Okay, with that being said, we are going to move on to our gubernatorial candidates who were able to arrive, starting with, and I hope I remember this correctly, Nick Pappas.
Thank you very much. My name is Nick Pappas. I am currently campaigning to be the next governor of Texas. I will be the first Democratic governor of Texas in 35 years. Very briefly, as far as my policies are concerned, I am pro-women and LGBTQ rights. I am pro-humane immigration reform. I want to tax the rich and institute a $25 minimum wage. I want to fund public education and not private education. I'm pro-ranked choice voting. I want to create government term limits and age limits. I want to fund a state health care option that's free health care for everybody that wanted to opt in. I want to fix the water and infrastructure. I am pro-gun and also pro-background checks. And I want to ban foreign land ownership. I wanted to run through that very quickly just to remind everybody that we are currently doing early voting for propositions. There are 17 ballot propositions, and there are even fewer early voting locations. Please make sure that you look up to see if you are registered, and then please make sure that you show up to the polls with your identification. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much for that introduction, sir. And with that being said, just to clarify, we will be going through the introductions, asking the questions, and then moving on to the next set of candidates. So I got my questions right here. first of all, Mr. Pappas, as governor, what would you do to protect the freedom of speech of students and activists across the state? Obviously, we've seen a big crackdown on that in recent years.
Ensuring we actually have an amendment to the Constitution that would ensure that the government cannot institute any policies against freedom of speech. We want to make sure that the Texas Executive Office, the Judicial Office, and the Legislative Offices cannot institute policies that would infringe on freedom of speech in any way, shape, or form. And the easiest way to do that is through an actual amendment, not through an executive order.
Thank you very much for that answer. And with that being said, moving on to our next question. You have a very detailed set of proposals on your campaign website. So I guess just to kind of narrow it down, what would be your number one main priority as governor? I know you want to get all of it done, but what would be the first task you set your eyes on?
The fastest would be education. It was set up with an executive order. We could fix it with an executive order. The most important to me is the economics, the $25 minimum wage, the ensuring that we have affordable and available housing, taxing the rich, and making sure that every Texan has a shot at the American dream.
Now, Mr. Pappas, you propose a lot of very bold legislation and great things that I'm sure many students, especially progressives in the audience, love the sound of, but there is also that risk that we simply won't have the majority in either parts of the legislature here in Texas to get that through. As you know, a large amount of seats here in Texas run completely unopposed. What would you do to try and build up the party both during and after the 2026 election, should you win the nomination and the governor's office?
Even before receiving the nomination, I have already helped over 100 candidates statewide with their races. I have also been doing my absolute best to ensure that no race goes unopposed. I have been also assisting Blue Texas in getting some names out there so that way they're able to support them in their campaigns. And I want to make sure that we turn every seat possible blue. I want all of Texas blue, not just my seat. But with my seat, I am able to institute many executive orders that will have to be challenged in court and proven to be unconstitutional instead of having to wait for permission through the legislature over a year and a half after elected.
Thank you very much, and that is all for our preset questions for our gubernatorial candidate. Big round of applause for Mr. Pappas, everyone. Moving on, our lieutenant governor candidate, Vicki Goodwin. Unfortunately, the representative herself was not able to make it in person. She has, however, both sent us a video and sent us a lovely North Texas staffer to help answer any questions we might have. So beginning with the video.
Hello, College Democrats. I am State Representative Vicki Goodwin from the Austin area. I am now running to be your next Texas Lieutenant Governor. I am running statewide because I am very passionate about 4 key issues. One is supporting our public education, K through 12, but also colleges and universities. 2, making sure people have access to healthcare that is affordable. 3, water issues. As the state continues to grow, we have to do better water planning. And 4, housing affordability. Everybody should be able to buy a home. It is the American dream. And as a residential real estate broker, I have spent many years helping people buy homes, but I've also seen how difficult it is, particularly for young people in today's expensive housing market. So when it comes to public education, our state leaders right now put $1 billion into vouchers. When I am Lieutenant Governor, I will bring those $1 billion back into our public education system where they belong. When it comes to healthcare, it has gotten more and more expensive for people to buy health insurance. And so Texas is known as the state with the highest rate of uninsured. We also have the highest rate of maternal mortality. These are not things that Texas should be known for. We need to make sure that people are able to get health care, that we're looking at preventive care and that women are able to make their own personal private healthcare decisions. When it comes to water, I represent Lake Travis, but all around the state, people are concerned. We've had droughts, we have hotter and hotter weather, and we aren't planning enough for the growth of our state. So we could end up spending a lot of money on desalination and piping water across the state, or we can look more at water reuse and conservation. And that's really critical to put in the time and effort into planning and stop worrying about so many of the divisive issues that our current Lieutenant Governor is focused on. He cares more about putting the 10 Commandments on classroom walls than he cares about putting resources into our classrooms. So again, I am State Representative Vicki Goodwin. I am sorry I'm not there with you tonight, but I look forward to seeing you someday on the campaign trail. Thank you.
Big thanks to Representative Goodwin for sending in the video and for sending in a representative of her campaign. Georgiana, if you can just make sure that mic's working.
Testing, we're good.
Okay. Now, with that being said, let's begin with your 3 questions. Now, Representative Goodwin has is running for Lieutenant Governor. As some may not know here, Lieutenant Governor is probably one of the most constitutionally powerful positions in the state government in Texas. They have power over chairmanships in the state legislature as well as the legislative agenda. With that being said, Georgiana, can you tell us now what are Representative Goodwin's rough plans for how she's going to use the power of the lieutenant governorship to help push through the democratic agenda?
Well, that's a really good question. I have to say we haven't spoken exactly on that. I do know one of her biggest issues is education. In order to do so, to get that through, the only thing we had to do to stop vouchers was Dan Patrick just not to bring it to the floor. So one way you can do that is to be a strong negotiator, understand the issues, know the laws, know what your constituents want, and encourage a good bill. But one thing we don't want is someone standing at the pulpit and acting like he or she is king or queen. So that is one thing she won't be doing. But she is a great negotiator. She's really good at what she does. She's extremely smart. Using those skills to help develop good legislation is what she's good at.
Thank you very much. And moving on to our next question. Representative Goodwin's policy proposals, which we all just heard some of the main ones right now, tackle a lot of things regarding the affordability in the lives of everyday Texans. In your opinion, or in the campaign's opinion, which of her policy positions would most directly have an impact on college students' lives? We are the Texas College Democrats, after all.
Well, I mean, you guys are, by the time you graduate, will be not quite 26, but 22, getting older. 26, you're going to have to be off your parents' insurance. This is one that seems to affect the younger generation the most at the beginning. But let's get real. Every issue is going to affect you. Healthcare, that's a huge one. We've got housing affordability. It's hard to live in a home now. What's it going to be like in 5 or 10 years from now? So one of the props that we have for our voting cycle this year is funding our tech schools. This right here would help reduce the cost of housing and construction alone. We have 10% deficit between those who are educated to go into tech and those who aren't. Funding more of those programs and making sure that, we have education for you guys when you have kids, or you can afford health care for you and your family. I think these are issues that are going to be important to you guys.
Thank you very much. And with our last question for the Goodwin campaign, obviously a lot of folks have felt disenchanted and, for lack of a better term, depressed after the 2024 election results and the shattering results we got here in Texas especially. What is Representative Goodwin's campaign plans to help energize the vote, get turnout out, and make sure that Texas Democrats are showing up?
One is to show that we support Texas Democrats and to reach out to Democrats. I think last time a lot of Democrats felt that they weren't heard. So we actually got a little forum that's a community feedback forum. We want to know what's important to you. And the only way we can do that is if you tell us. And the only way you can tell us if we meet you one-on-one. Representative Goodwin has toured the state from top to bottom, east to west, north to south, and she continues to do that throughout her entire campaign. This way she gets to meet people individually and hear what your concerns are, so when she is lieutenant governor, she can represent you.
Thank you very much, y'all. And moving on, we have our candidate for General Land Commissioner here in Texas, Mr. Benjamin Flores.
Good afternoon. Sorry. So I left my house at 10 a.m., just to let you know. I was really looking forward to this evening. I still am. I'm excited to connect with y'all. I'm Councilman Benjamin Flores with the City of Bay City in Matagorda County. That's a Gulf County. I'm running for Land Commissioner, previously known for Councilman Benjamin Flores running for governor. So why the switch? So I've been touring the state for the better part of this year. And one of the questions that I had for everyone I met was, if you were in front of the next governor of Texas in January 2027, what would you say fix this first? The majority of the time had to do with public schools, public education, teacher salaries, special programs. So why the GLO? Why the General Land Office? The General Land Office has the unique responsibility of managing state lands, which generate revenue that goes directly into the biggest education endowment fund in the nation. That money then gets passed on to our schools, and hopefully, as your next land commissioner, I can manage those lands responsibly to open up to, currently, Commissioner Buckingham limits it to oil and gas, but I would explore other partnerships with geothermal, wind, and solar to do it in a responsible manner to increase the revenue that goes into the fund. There are other responsibilities such as veterans benefits. That's the office that manages in the state. Disaster recovery is very important in my area, anything from drainage to flood mitigation. If you know Harvey, that name was very important. There was some mismanagement of funds. I would end that type of activity. I'm Councilman Benjamin Flores, and I'm running for Land Commissioner.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Now, with that being said, as Land Commissioner, as you've already brought up, you do have a great deal of power over issues such as public education. And on that note, what are some of your proposals for how to keep our schools well-funded that you can implement through your position?
So as the manager of that fund, right, and looking to increase the revenue that goes into that fund, I would help prioritize programs that are much needed and that I see in our future. Anything from attracting, I don't know if you all know, we have a deficit in doctors in the state, nursing, and maternal health care. Perhaps we can explore policies that would help incentivize those careers. Now, that said, I know AI is now very popular for a whole lot of reasons, and there's various concerns. But just like electricity, it's going to happen. But how can we do it right? So perhaps looking into those careers, right, to manage our power better. Again, it's just incentivizing where the funds go. At the end of the day, that's what it is.
Okay, thank you very much. Moving on to the other major part of being Land Commissioner, what are your plans to help, as Land Commissioner, to help support sustainable energy and good environmental policies, as well as you mentioned a few different types of energy. What kind of energy, sustainable energy form would you want to encourage the most in the state of Texas?
Yes. So one of the things I did during the regular session and even the special session is I toured the Capitol. I met with representatives from both sides. I don't know what sides are nowadays, but anyways, I'm Team Texans. And in the conversations that I had regarding energy, they would tell me in private that they're for all of the above. They want to see all types of energy being leveraged and available for all Texans. They would follow it with, but we can't say that in public. Now, that speaks more to the current state of politics in our state, and it's sad that we're putting politics ahead of people. I already mentioned it. Honestly, geothermal, it's very interesting to me because a lot of the oil and gas jobs, technologies, and practices are almost 100% directly applicable to geothermal. So I'm not against oil and gas. I'm against being responsible with what we were given, right? So how can we do it in a way that benefits us the most without damaging the environment? So again, all of the above.
Well, thank you very much. And I think they like that answer. But on that note, our final question, obviously most college students still aren't fully aware of what land commissioner is. Hopefully now they do. But what part of being land commissioner do you think would have the most direct impact on college students across the state of Texas?
I go back to the officially known as the permanent school fund, right? I see, the lifetime, from cradle to, I don't want to say it, but from the death, right? How can we help out throughout? So we have good schools from the get-go, right? All throughout, and we're incentivizing the right things for us. Honestly, I think there's a little bit of something for everybody at every single stage. In my opinion, it's just, I think it came out of NASA, the lack of imagination, right? That our current set of politicians in charge, they just want to, they call themselves conservatives, but they're just stuck in that way without looking at, hey, can we try something different? Can we look at it in a different way? And me, between my background in cybersecurity and now been managing our own family ranch for a few years, I don't have time to waste. If something didn't work, let's try something else. And if that didn't work, let's try something else. And then you get somebody that maybe knows more than you. And that's what I'm open to, and that's what I don't see the other side do.
Okay. Thank you very much, Mr. Flores. Big round of applause, everyone. And with that being said, we do have a video from one of the judicial candidates running. That is Miss Holly Taylor has announced her run for the Criminal Court of Appeals.
Good evening, Texas College Democrats. My name is Holly Taylor, and I'm a progressive Democrat running for the Court of Criminal Appeals. That's our top criminal court here in Texas, and it sets precedent that all other Texas courts have to follow. This important court makes decisions that profoundly impact our constitutional rights and freedoms on critical issues like free speech, reproductive rights, and digital privacy. I think it's important, with so much misinformation out there, that Democrats are willing to act with integrity and tell hard truths. So today I'm going to tell you my hard truth and the reason I am running for this court. I have had a career as a prosecutor working to keep my community safe. I have prosecuted government corruption and also violent crimes like murder, rape, and child abuse. But for the last 5 years, I have also been working with our Conviction Integrity Unit to investigate wrongful conviction claims. We interview witnesses, do DNA testing, and speak with scientific experts to get to the truth. And although most of our investigations have shown that we put the right person in jail, some led to the opposite conclusion, and tragically, a few of those cases were ones that I originally prosecuted. I have worked to free each of these individuals and make it right. This experience has taught me how our criminal justice system can fail us, and the courage it takes to stand up for justice and the rule of law, to speak the truth, and treat everyone who comes before our courts with dignity and humanity. Through this journey, I have learned that our courts are in crisis and that judges who follow their oaths to uphold the Constitution are under attack. Some of those judges have been targeted by powerful people like Ken Paxton and billionaire-funded PACs. Judges have even received death threats, houses have been burned, and people have died. Yet the judicial branch is more important than ever before to upholding our Constitution. Please help me raise awareness about the importance of our courts. I am Holly Taylor, running for the Court of Criminal Appeals. You can find me online at Holly T for Judge. Thank you for everything you do.
A round of applause, everyone. With that being said, we will now be moving on to our congressional candidates, starting with Mr. Ernest Lineberger from Congressional District 26.
Thank you all for being here. Thank you, AJ, for bringing this and putting it on along with your team. Listen, it seems like not too long ago, I was one of you guys. Obviously, I'm not. I'm on Medicare, okay? I've been through college. I got my aerospace engineering degree. I went to nuclear power school. I served on nuclear-powered ships, including the aircraft carrier USS Nimitz and others. Eventually, I retired from the Navy, and I looked around at what I was going to do. It was hard, not having a job, not knowing what was going to be next. Before that, it was all kind of laid out for me because the Navy put me through college. I was going into the Navy. That was going to be my job. But I finally got hired by Texas Instruments, and I made a 29-year career out of that, doing industrial engineering and manufacturing, and it was really good. So I've kind of made it through a lot of those things. I think back to when I was in high school, and the oceanography coach, club coach, I guess, became the track coach, and we went out to run track just because he was out there. I'm not a fast guy. I was trying to do pole vault, and that didn't work out, and so then I tried to do hurdles, but the coach would always call me when there were ever two people in the race, because I could get third if there were two people in the race. And, we get points for the team, right? That's working for the team. And when I was in college, I thought I was going to go to the Naval Academy. I'd actually been to the Naval Academy when I was in first and second grade. My dad was a Navy chaplain there. I actually met Roger Staubach. Anybody know that name? Okay, I met him when he was on the football team at the Naval Academy. It's pretty cool. But I thought I was going to go there, but it turned out I was like 803 on a list of 800. So I ended up having to go to USC and suffered through going to the Rose Bowl 3 out of the 4 years there. But what if the coach would have yelled up to the stands and said, "Lineberger, get down here," and needed me to play a position during the Rose Bowl or something? I probably would have played football. I don't know, the football. But anyway, you never know what you're going to be called to do. And in 2022 was our first election after redistricting, and I went to vote. There was no Democrat on the ballot. Like, what the heck? We're in a new district? No, what? So in 23, we went to find out there was not going to be one, so I ran. I was the only one I could push to do it. I didn't know anything about it. We did everything we could. We did a lot. We came in second. I could have said, okay, now I know why nobody's running. This is a beating. It cost me $31,000 of my own dollars, and they said you need $2 million. We didn't have a 20th of that by the time we were done. But I could have quit and said, there's no way we're doing this. But I said, what's going to happen next? You can have the next guy come, and maybe they won't know what they're doing, and we're stuck in the same hole. So I decided to treat that as a running start, and we're trying to close the gap. More name recognition, more on and on. I could tell you all about policy and position, but it's the same as all the rest of these guys. We're for the people. We're for the economy. We want to make it so everyone can achieve their full potential instead of spending half our time putting one class down thinking that pulls us up when it doesn't. It just puts us all down. So I'm Ernest Lineberger. I'm running for the U.S. House for Texas Congressional District 26 to turn it from MAGA red to red, white, and blue for all people. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And honestly, related to your statement about 2024, obviously, as you mentioned, it was your first time running around. So what lessons do you think you've learned from that 24 election, and how will you be updating your campaign strategy for 26 to get the margin even lower or win?
We are doing everything we can. So late in the last election, we started digital marketing. So somebody using their phone to watch a movie or whatever might just see my name scroll across the bottom. We've been doing that continuously. We haven't stopped. We're just doing more and more things. The last election, I did not go to city councils or other things like that, chambers of commerce, and I'm doing more of that just to announce that I'm running, and you make more alliances with more people. We had a launch party this term, and we didn't have one of those last time. We ended up filling up the space, had over 150 people, and a lot of good people saying a lot of good things. I know my pastor came to give a sermon, prayer, invocation to start it out, and he had to stop himself at the beginning because he was surprised that many people came out to support So we're just doing everything we can. We're doing things that maybe you're not supposed to do. We're putting out my campaign signs at polling places now. So people that are coming to vote might say, hey, who's this Lineberger guy? He wasn't on my ballot. They might look me up. And so we're just doing more of everything we can.
Got it. Thank you very much. Next question. Obviously, for the last year or so, honestly, before that, our governor and now our president has been constantly trying to attack or infringe upon academic freedom. If you were elected to the U.S. House of Representatives, what would you do to try and protect the academic freedom and integrity of universities in Texas and across the nation?
Our president has just overstepped way too much on a lot of things. And the problem is he is in charge of the majority Republican House. They all look to him and listen to him, and it makes me sick. When I was getting involved the last time, they were holding off on voting for more aid for Ukraine. There were Ukrainian soldiers dying on the battlefield because they were down to their last couple rounds of ammunition or whatever, and we weren't giving them more. And Mike Johnson, the House Speaker, was not letting that bill come up to a vote. The number one thing that I'm going to be able to do personally is be a Democratic butt in a seat and hopefully swinging the majority the other way. I've done everything I can. When I saw that we didn't have a Democrat in the seat, what does that do to our Democrat population? It just starts to atrophy. Why would people come vote if there's nobody to vote for? Like I said, I might be the football in the Rose Bowl. I'm the person you can vote for, and you can't vote without somebody to vote for. So I'm not telling everybody I'm the number one candidate in the world and you're just so lucky that I'm running. I'm saying I'm running, and I hope you can run with me and make this happen.
Woo! Okay. With that being said, the last one. Obviously, the Democratic Party has been a bit split on what direction to go. So this last question for you is, how do you feel about the current direction of the National Democratic Party? And if you were to make one addition or change, what would it be?
I'm sorry I got that question. To be honest, I don't really care that much about the National Party. I tried to go talk to them when I was running the first time, and it was so hard. They were not interested in Texas or me at all. I think in general, the Republicans line up. They're like told, you do this, you do that, and this is our policy. No one from the Democratic Party has told me these are our policies and you have to line up to them. I think the magic of the Democratic Party is that we all tend to say, what's good for the people? Who does this serve? And we all tend to come to the same conclusions. This serves the people. This serves, and I'm going to be for it. This tears down, and I'm going to be against it. So, I apologize if I'm not fully up to speed on. I'm excited that we have new leadership in Texas and what we're doing to pull Texas together. I'm really excited about that. I know our county Democratic parties are very much behind me because this is my second time running, and I'm excited about that. And for the national, I'll get to know them and they'll get to know me after I win. I don't, when I went the first time, they're like, okay, who are you? But when I win, they'll be, wow, Lineberger, let's pull you on board. And that's what's going to happen.
Thank you very much, sir. Big round of applause for Mr. Lineberger. And with that being said, we move on to our next congressional candidate, Mr. T.J. Ware from CD 24.
Hey guys, I'm TJ Ware. I'm from Fort Worth, Texas here, and I'm very passionate about consumer prices. The prices that we are seeing at the register right now are crippling the U.S. economy. Tariffs are the largest tax that's been enacted on the American people probably in all of history. And we're seeing so much retail retraction because of that right now. We're seeing so much instability with our trading partners overseas. There are products like coffee that is now way more expensive than it was last year, and it was already going up. Now they have to deal with tariffs for a product that we don't even grow in America. We can't really grow coffee. We don't have the soil and elevation and climate to do it. So that just punishes Americans. Why do we have people in Washington that are okay with punishing Americans? I'm not okay with that at all. When I was young, when I was first in college, I was a clerk at the U.S. Attorney's Office. I was at work in Fort Worth on the 17th floor of Burnett Plaza, 40-story building in downtown Fort Worth on 9/11. I watched the second plane hit. We were on the phone with people in the Pentagon, and it was a really strange and scary period of time in my life. And shortly after that, I joined the Marine Corps, and I served overseas in 2004. And after that, I went back to school again, and then I got into business, and I've been an entrepreneur. I have a pretty good understanding of how certain things work. I own a data company that's located down in Roanoke, and I've been in insurance adjusting and disaster relief for years, and I've been fighting for consumers across the country after natural disasters. And also, I've been to the Supreme Court twice in that role. I've testified before state Congress, and we're leading the fight against insurance companies defrauding their own customers. Thanks for having me.
And thank you very much for coming by. On that note, CD24, at least from what I can tell from those who have announced, it's a very crowded field in that primary right now. So you're also up against Beth Van Dyne, one of the biggest fundraisers in the Republican Party. So in your opinion, what makes you stand out from the herd, and what makes you uniquely capable of taking on Beth Van Dyne?
Yeah, thank you for the question. Well, number one, I've met about 2,000 people in my district, and literally 400 of them have said, "That bitch?" I'm not joking. I'm just telling you the truth. One of them said a word worse than that. Now, that means her favorability is pretty damn low. What the hell happened the last 3 election cycles here? I'll tell you what happened. We have 75 open precinct chairs for the Democratic Party in Tarrant County. All right? Now, there are people in this room that are part of a reorganizing party that's going to come together and finally do their job. All right? It's time for people to stand up and take some leadership over this party and rally people together and work together against the Republican machine that he mentioned has worked very well together. I have a background on social media. I've built multiple companies on social media. For those companies, I brought in hundreds of millions of dollars with no ad spend on Facebook. While we see campaigns burn up millions and millions of dollars on mailers and types of advertising that go straight in the trash. There's no cohesion, there's opportunism everywhere. We need people that are business-minded, that are in government for the right reasons. And that's the reason people will vote for me over Beth.
Okay. Thank you very much. Now, that being said, should you win, what piece of legislation would you most want to write or co-sponsor that would directly impact the lives of college students and young people across the country and not just Texas?
Well, thank you very much. Well, one of the first things that I'm going to do when I win is work very hard to reach across the aisle on comprehensive bipartisan immigration reform. What's going on in the streets of America right now is unacceptable. It's not okay. And our members of Congress, you guys remember when Al Green stood up on the House floor and got basically drug out of there? That's when your congressional reps let you down. Everybody on that floor should have been standing up and refusing to participate in the theatrics and the antics and the overreach that's happening in Washington, D.C. Now we have a damn status quo already. This is not okay. We're fighting an uphill battle here. And it's important that people that go to Congress are willing to stand up and say what's happening right now with ICE, the fact that we just gave ICE more funding than the annual budget for the Russian military, and they're fighting a war with Ukraine. Guys, this is nuts. This is not okay. And the fact that any of our representatives, the fact that our own party didn't shut that damn government down, they should have shut it down in January or February when this crap started happening. We have been let down, and it's time for strong people to step into leadership.
Okay. On that note, as much as I hate to use a repeat question, but I have to ask you as well, since you are running for federal office, what is your position on the current direction of the National Democratic Party, and what would you change about it?
That's a great question. The Democratic Party likes to label itself as inclusive, but it's become very exclusive. It's time that we have the inclusivity that's required to be the leading party in this country, at least for the foreseeable future. MAGA has put a grenade in the middle of the Republican Party. Where's everybody going to go, guys? They have to come right here, because we're the only ones that give a shit, and we're moving this country forward. And so the National Party needs to open its doors and open its eyes and focus on the issues that all Americans care about. Take back the power, run fascism out of government, fix campaign finance, or it's all for naught.
Okay, thank you very much. Round of applause, everyone. Now, before we move on to some of our general announcements and then me going through the list of questions for all y'all, I do believe we have someone who showed up and informed me that she is also running for a local office. Hello, hello. If you can go ahead and introduce yourself and what office you are running for.
Hello, and thank you, UNT College Dems. I was actually here not too long ago for an event in this exact room for Ignite. And I did something very similar. I reached out on the social media page and said, I noticed y'all have a panel of women who are running. I'm a young woman running too. Could I join? And that right there is Sophia Noir. If I see something that's not working, similar to that little fiasco with the AV, I'm going to offer a solution. You don't have to take it, but I'm going to try. Because let me tell you something. It is really, really inconvenient to help people. Have you tried helping people before? It's really inconvenient. It takes a lot of time. You have to stop what you're doing, ask a lot of questions, follow up. My name is Sophia Noir. I am running for Justice of the Peace of Precinct 6 in Denton County because I will be inconvenient, because it is inconvenient to help people. This is a people's court. A lot of the cases that come before this court, again, it's a civil court, are those of eviction cases, truancy court, some speeding tickets if you get pulled over by county police, and some fun things like weddings. You get a little bit of that too. And something that I've worked on, both as someone who has been an immigrant, come to this country at the age of 5, living in a 2-bedroom apartment with a family of 5, with, you guys won't remember this because you were too young, which is funny because I'm not that much older than you, which we had Tropical Storm Allison. You guys remember that? That caused a lot of flooding in our apartment. We used every single towel we had, and then my brother, who was starting to run a small business, we used all the towels he had too. And that's how we made sure that water didn't get into our apartment. When my dad's car broke down and he had started a small business, he went to the front of our apartment building and just waved down a car, hoping someone would help him get to work. Because if he didn't get to work, he didn't have enough money to fix the car. And if he didn't fix the car, well, we wouldn't have money for rent. That's my lived experience. And unfortunately, that's the lived experience of so many people here in our county, here in our state. And you know what? We're all just one moment away from that experience as well. It's true. Life happens. And unfortunately, sometimes life happens really fast to a lot of folks. They don't get a second to breathe. I've spent both at the federal government as a staffer on Capitol Hill, so hopefully you guys will be there as well. At the Obama White House as a state staffer at the state legislature. I work with my county and multiple boards. I'm a member of a few state party boards with some wonderful folks here. And I'm part of the city government as well. So city boards, because if there are solutions or there's a problem, I want to be where the conversations are had. And guarantee you, if you see me in a board meeting, I'll be asking a lot of questions. Because there are a lot of people who are just sitting in status quo. Board meetings are happening. Aye, second, next. No one is asking any questions. Why are we doing it this way? And there are folks who come in front of the JP who say, I am being evicted. This is a true case. I sat in a courtroom, and I know I'm going to go a little bit over, but I'm going to share this story. It was a mother. She had 5 children. She said, I'm being evicted for the first time I missed my rent. I was in the hospital. The landlord said, well, we handed a notice to, by law, we're supposed to hand deliver the eviction notice. We did that. We have proof of that. She said, Judge, I've been in the hospital the entire time. They didn't hand it to me. Judge took a second, said, okay, hold on. Who did you hand it to? I'm looking at her medical bills. She was in the hospital. So, there were kids there. Every single person here should be appalled. She said, my eldest is 16. Someone in the courtroom in the back said, 16 is like an adult. Are you joking? That's an eviction. That entire family could lose their home. And then the landlord said, well, there was a man there. She said, yes, I do. The father of one of my children was there, but he's like, we are not in good terms. He was there because the children were really anxious because I haven't been home because I'm in the hospital. So he brought them there so they could kind of feel some sort of stability. So if you gave it to him, he didn't hand it to me. He's not there to help me out. He was just there for the kid. So the judge took a second and said, "Is that gentleman on the lease with you?" She said, "No, sir." He said, "Okay, I'm going to give you a 6 to 8 week extension on your eviction." Now, we can breathe a little bit of a sigh of relief because I know that mother did, but you know what she thought right after she left that courtroom? What do I do in the next 6 to 8 weeks to fix my situation? There was no magic solution coming because she is what many people are in this country and in this county, which is an Alice household. Asset limited, income constraint, employed. One thing that shoves her life off the road is going to have generational impact. We need someone in that courtroom that not only is going to take a second and say, "Stop, I'm going to ask a question," maybe even 3, but then also knows the county. I sit every month, I sit on multiple meetings with nonprofits, local organizations, landlords, tenants who come together and say, "These are the problems that we're facing. These are the solutions we're offering. How can we offer coordinated solutions?" That is what we need in that courtroom. My name is Sophia Noir. I'm running for Justice of the Peace, Precinct 6, Denton County, and I am not afraid of being inconvenient because it is really inconvenient to help people.
Thank you very much. And I'm going to ask 3 questions that I've thought of as you were talking.
Love it.
But also, while I'm doing that, folks, go ahead and scan this QR code. You can send me your questions right now, and as soon as we're done here, and as soon as since I see him in the audience now, Vice Chair Billy Power gives his keynote address that he would. Yeah, that's why Delia sent you. But as soon as that's done, we will go through these questions with each of the candidates one more time, and you guys will get your burning interests and questions answered. Now, to begin with, first of all, what a harrowing story about that mother and her housing. So, in what other ways can the Justice of the Peace tackle things such as affordability? And as a follow-up question to that, in what ways does Justice of the Peace directly impact the college students living around Denton, as well as those of us with siblings living around Denton? You mentioned truancy. I'm sure plenty of folks watching this have siblings or cousins who go to Denton ISD.
Absolutely. So who here pays rent? Okay, so you are impacted by Justice of the Peace Court. Hi. That's all of us. And not too long ago, that was me too. Now, we're very fortunate to own a home, but as my husband says, we don't own it. We pay the bank rent. And that's the truth. And we'll probably be paying for the rest of our lives. Thank you, America, unfortunately. But we're all impacted by this court. And the state law does, limit sort of what capacity the judge has to take action, but there is a lot of discretion up to the judge. So like I mentioned, this one specific instance, asking the questions, being able to extend, provide some relief, so for a 6 to 8 week extension before eviction. In addition to that, courts have the ability to present information or resources. So the greater relationship you as a court have with other nonprofits and organizations that are legally resources available to residents, you can share that information. I have done my homework in that I've spoken to other Justice of the Peace. I've spoken to other nonprofits to see how they work with Justice of the Peace. There was one Justice of the Peace that worked with a nonprofit that said, you know what, when people are in this situation, they're not going to read like 6 stapled packets. Let's be honest, who is, right? But they said if you can put the most important information that you think these folks need to have on the most highlighted colored piece of paper, that can be the first piece of paper on that folder or that first piece of paper on that packet. That sounds silly, I know, but imagine you're in that situation. You just breathed your first exhale of relief, and then you realize, oh crap, now what? So putting resources in front of folks is really important, but also being able to share what you are seeing in court to those other nonprofits who are saying, we're here to help. So where does that look like? And sometimes for those organizations, again, by state law, the judge can only do so much. However, having an open and transparent court so that others can see, and they can come in and sit in those courtrooms to see what is happening in the court, will allow them to have better coordination amongst the county to share, because eviction happens here. You know what happens maybe a month before eviction? My car breaks down. You know what happens maybe 3 weeks prior to eviction? I lost affordable childcare. Grandma's now sick. She's not available. Now what? So there are so many preventative things that happen ahead of eviction: utilities assistance, rental relief, food pantries. There's a lot of that. And unfortunately, you guys, the cost of living is going up, and more and more of apartments are being bought up by private equity. And you know what they're doing? You know how they make their money? They just increase the cost of living.
Thank you very much for that response. And in addition to that, obviously, just as a piece, you'll end up working a lot with the children in the area. Is there a specific approach that you plan to take in order to help children feel safe even when they are dealing with truancy issues, and help resolve problems such as the housing?
Absolutely. And I think, again, it comes a little bit from lived experience. I am not a shy person, but I dealt with a lot of anxiety growing up. And in middle school and high school, I maintained good grades, but I missed school here and there because I had so much anxiety I didn't feel like I could go. So I was a child who was dealt a truancy letter notification, which my parents had to deal with. So I think there's a lot that you can look into. There are multiple reasons, some very unnerving and definitely need to look into, for why a child does not go to school, but is not limited to just one thing that we want to deem as criminal. And I think that means having an open conversation with school board members, superintendents. So while I am an LISD, I have a great relationship with the school board there. I also have a great relationship with the school board for Carrollton and Farmers Branch ISD. And I think those relationships are important because they are the folks who speak on behalf of the parents and the students, and the teachers, the superintendents do. So if you're not there, then how are you being part? This is a community, and people are sick of people who just sit somewhere else and say, come to me if you have a problem. Dude, people are living life. It is hard. I don't have time to schedule a different appointment to come to meet you during business hours only, by the way. And so having options like night courts, again, also working with our constables and sheriffs to guarantee that there is security for folks who come in. Because again, there are multiple facets for why things don't happen. You have to go across the aisle and say, why aren't we doing night courts? Okay, the constable and the sheriff's department can't guarantee security. That makes people feel unsafe. That makes staff feel unsafe. Okay, how can we make sure that that happens? So reach across the aisle and having relationships, I think, with the county, even though, again, we don't agree on 99% of things, we are elected to serve. And public service is just a fancy way of saying customer service.
Well, thank you very much. Big round of applause, everyone. Now, with all that being said, I think that was 3 questions total, and you answered them perfectly. All of y'all did great with answering every single question that I had prepared for you. As I go through the form to see what questions have now been submitted for y'all, if we can get Billy, if you can come up here and talk about some of the things the county party's been up to. Yeah, let me just, oh, you know what, you need this.
Hey y'all, my name is Billy Poore. I am Vice Chair of the Denton County Democratic Party, filling in for Delia Parker Mims, our wonderful county chair. Give it up for Delia. Thanks for all these candidates coming out here and sharing their stories, sharing their vision for what they want to do in their respective seats. County Party's doing a lot to fundraise, support these campaigns with volunteers once they make it past their primaries, and making sure we have a really strong ground structure going into the general election. We have a lot of events coming up. A lot of them are on the website. We just had the No Kings rally. And if there's one thing, I don't really have any prepared remarks, but if there's one thing I could leave y'all with is that if you felt even a little bit inspired by any single candidate here today, volunteer for their campaign. Grab a friend, spread the word. These campaigns are won at the local level no matter what office they're running for. So one block walking shift, one phone bank could lead to another person voting for our candidates or signing up for a volunteer shift themselves. And then we start to snowball and we flip a precinct, we flip a local seat, we flip this county, and we flip the state. Delia likes to say a lot that once we flip Texas, we save the nation because there's no way Republicans can beat us once we flip Texas. So the path to flipping Texas is also through Denton County. So thanks for coming out here, y'all. I don't have a whole lot of other remarks, but thanks so much.
Big thank you to the county party for sending a representative to come speak to us. Now, with all that being said, before I actually get to the forum questions, Mr. Lineberger, you had something you wanted to ask the audience.
Thank you very much. How many people vote here in Denton? You're registered to vote, you vote in your dorm maybe or whatever? Because I want to let you know, for the first time in a number of years, Mark Nair is the Democratic candidate for CD 13. He actually lives in Amarillo, but Denton will be the blue flame that ignites that whole district. And just like Mr. Poore just said, your efforts will be huge here to help him. I've always been fortunate to surround CD 13 and to use some of your energy, and I still want it, but we definitely need to help Mark Nair for CD 13. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. And actually, on that note, that is included in my additional announcements that I almost forgot to do. Mark Nair is in fact running, and for those of you who are unaware, CD 13 is now all of Denton. All of Denton City, as of the last legislative session, is now in CD 13. A lot of our commuter students are, of course, in CD 26 and CD 24. We are a heavy commuter student. But if you're not a commuter student, you live in Denton City, you go to the dorm, you live in the dorms right now, please, please, please register to vote here in Denton. I know some of you at home and in the audience are thinking, I can go drive back to my parents' place to vote. You can't. Election day is on a weird day. It's hard. It's difficult to travel there. And if you think mail-in ballots, come on. You know who our governor is. You know who our president is. Mail-in ballots is going to be a tricky thing. So please, if you want to make sure that Ronnie Jackson is no longer your congressman, please register to vote here in Denton, and please vote in Denton. In addition to that, y'all might remember that some of the candidates earlier brought up the constitutional amendments on the ballot. If you aren't already following our Instagram page, go do that. And we have already put out our recommendations for how to vote on those ballot initiatives. We also have Prop A here in Denton ISD, and as we've already firmly established, we're Democrats. We support public education. We support Prop A. With that being said, thank you so much for y'all's time, and let me get to the questions y'all very thankfully submitted. Now, starting off with some of the group questions, for all y'all, and whoever wants to answer this first can, how are you going to build your campaigns around young people in ways that appeal to us as voters, specifically the large progressive strain that is present within the young demographic?
By actually going to the potential voters and letting them know that we are progressive, that we have progressive ideals, and explaining those to them so that way they understand and support it.
So as a councilman, I can tell you that from my experience, we just don't approach the upcoming generations. We just don't ask, say, hey, what's your worry? What's your concern? What does the future of Texas look like for you? Well, I say we, when I'm up in the dais, we keep making all these decisions for you, but our decisions will affect your future, right? So what I try to do is engage them, right? It's like, hey, what would you like to see, right? What decision? Because it's not just me. Even though people think that I think I'm all that and more, I like to hear other people's opinion, right? I don't know everything. So I think engaging them, like he said, showing up, right? But really asking the questions and really taking it to heart. So one of my commitments, even before I switch, is wherever I go, if I end up as the land commissioner, or when I am a land commissioner, I will make a big effort to bring in, whether it's more internships, whether it's, I don't want to call them entry-level jobs, but bring the newer generation into the land commission. I think it's just a perspective that, as much as I like to say that I'm well-informed, there's just so much out there, right? So again, that's what I would do.
We will continue to visit college campuses and interact with students. We've also helped with some voter registration drives at Tarrant County colleges. And we're going to go out there and listen to people and talk about what their plans are for when they get out of college and how they plan to participate in an economy that's been under attack in the way that it has. So I really want to hear how we can build more policies that make these people very successful
after they finish their education.
Want to make sure, do our remaining candidates, who wants to go first for answering it?
Well, I hope we all say the same thing pretty much, and that's the only way to know what's important to you guys is to ask you. We have to be where you are. It is sometimes hard as an older person to find out where you're going to be. So that is a bit of a challenge. Found out y'all don't like text messages as much as we do, so that's been another challenge. But like I said, Vicki does. She travels everywhere, and she does try to see as many people as she can. One thing we've been doing in North Texas, I can say for sure, is reaching out to more of the college Dems. We've also got high school Dems that are starting up over on the other side of the lake. I'm in contact with them as well. It's been a huge initiative for both myself and the campaign to make sure that we find out where you are and that we can start connecting with our youth, because you guys are our future. We can, whatever decision we make today is what's going to affect you tomorrow. So it's very important we have your input. Thank you.
I find it's very hard to find the right microphone to reach out to people, to talk to people, and then the right listening devices to get the information back. I've tried a lot of things. Last campaign, I held a tailgater at a UNT football game. It was one that when you buy a ticket, it also benefited LISD, and I thought, well, I'm definitely for LISD, definitely for UNT. This is a no-brainer. And we had a lot of fun. We brought food and drinks and had a lot of students come by and visit our tent, and I shared with them what's going on with the national debt. I was very surprised that most of them did not know what deficit and debt and $35 trillion and what that means to their future. And, is Social Security going to be there for them and whatnot? I mean, I pledge when I'm elected, I'm going to do all I can to eliminate any more increases in the debt and have it come back down to help bolster Social Security so it's there for all of us continuously, even as demographics go up and down. But young people, not all of them are fully savvy in these things. So it's a two-way street. I share with them what I know, where I see there's rocks ahead. It's kind of a navigation thing. You don't steam into the rocks, right? And so it's a two-way street. I need to listen to them. They're concerned that maybe, something that I'm not aware of, and I wouldn't even know what it was until they share it with me. But it's got to be a two-way street.
So I'm going to add this story real quick. I'm a story girl. When I ran for a countywide seat before, I did something which I didn't know, which was called the millennial pause in my videos when I would share them. I learned that from a few other girlies who basically messaged me on Instagram and said, "Oh my God, please stop, you're doing a millennial pause." I did not know what that meant. So even though I consider myself a young person, I think this idea of, are you talking to the young people? It makes me laugh, because that's like talking to me and saying, like, do you talk to the Muslims? Do you talk to the South Asians? Everyday people are living everyday lives. I don't know what a trillion is. I've never even seen a million. But I can tell you what day-to-day looks like. I can tell you how far it is, how long it takes to sit in traffic. I can tell you how inconvenient life is being right now. And I think that's something that everyone can relate to. I don't think we need to talk about big things in the sky. I understand it's important. I know it is. But don't tell me what's important. I know what's important to me. I don't need you to tell me. So I'm more interested, go everywhere. Hell, my election isn't for the majority of the city of Carrollton, which if your parents, your cousins, your aunts and uncle lives there, hey, Sophia Noir, A for Apple, in Denton County. But I'm here. And it doesn't matter if I'm speaking to one person or 10 people. It's important to keep showing up. And it's important to listen, I agree. But if you're not taking any of the feedback and actually making a change, people are going to stop listening. People are going to stop telling you. And so I think that's what we're sort of getting in the loop of. It was like, you're a young person, you're going to lead social media. Young people can do a lot better than social media. We're really good at strategy too. And I said we. So for me, it's we need to just start talking like we talk every day. We need to try everything and continue to do everything, because everybody's lives literally depend on it.
Thank you all very much for your very thoughtful responses. And our next all group question is, in your opinions, why are you, or the candidates you're representing, specifically qualified for the races that you've chosen to run for?
So I'll say that I've built multiple organizations that have operated nationally. I build teams, I invest in people. I've spent thousands of hours learning about personality assessments and organizational structures to streamline business, to make you work more efficiently and more effectively, to think outside the box, to be innovative. I've been very innovative in multiple industries. I also have other accomplishments, such as I'm very dedicated to nonprofit work. I've spent a decade of my life working passionately for the people of West Africa. I've been on the front lines of providing mental health services for first responders after disasters for the last 5 years. I've been to Kerrville 4 times because what I care about is serving other people. I think that that should be something that drives a lot of us. And since I took an oath to uphold and defend the Constitution of the United States when I was 17 years old, I have been dedicated to living that out in a real way, because I believe in this idea of America that stands for freedom and democracy for all of us, that stands for representation, and that stands for good governance.
I guess I'll go. I think I'm the best candidate for this position because I see who's in the seat now, and I know for a fact I can do it better. I'm also best candidate for this position because I didn't just decide to get involved in community today. I think that's one thing that's really important, and I think that's something that voters, whether you're Democrat or Republican, are really tired of. People just come around 2 months before and they're like, hi. All right, do people in your school know you? When you go to the grocery store, does at least one person know your name? When you go to the park, do people know who you are? I mean, real community places, not just your friends. I've always said, I'm not really interested when people are nice. I'm interested to see how they react when things aren't going well. Are you someone who's going to crash under pressure, or are you going to take a minute, take a deep breath? It's okay to do that. But then think, how are we going to solve this, and who's going to help me do it? So if you're not going to try, I think that's really where, that's what we're tired of seeing, I think, is folks who are not willing to try. So I'm the best candidate for this position because, like I said, I'm not afraid of being inconvenient.
I'm the best candidate for land commissioner because I'll be putting Texans first. I'll be, last year we had Beryl in our area, and the eye of the hurricane was right over our property. Then the next morning, I told my wife, we're gonna clear our driveway, and then we're gonna reach out to seniors in our community to see who needed help to get out of their house. 90% of our city lost power, internet access, including even our emergency management office. I can guarantee you Ms. Dawn Buckingham doesn't do that. I was out there with a chainsaw. My wife, my daughter, we were all out there helping folks out. I'll put Texans first by making sure we make the most revenue possible to put in that little school piggy bank that I was telling you about. Responsibly, taking care of the environment, making sure whatever we leave for the next generation is still in good. I'm of the concept of leave no footprint, basically just take pictures, right? And I'll be your land commissioner that puts Texans first, but making sure our veterans in the Rio Grande Valley have access to quality healthcare, which right now they have to travel to San Antonio to get access to specialists. That's a good 5-6 hour drive, maybe 2 Buc-ee's in between. I had to deal with 12 inches of water in a matter of hours because of in Austin, just like you were talking about flooding, you reminded me of that, and just making sure the water's not coming in. It ended up coming in. And I will not be playing games because that's one of the things that the GLO office does to help you with mitigate, make you whole after flooding, after drainage issues. That's what this office does. So I will not play politics. So I will, as your land commissioner, put Texans first.
All right, finally I get to tell a story. It may not be as good as yours, Sophia. Okay, so one of the things I always like to tell people is why it was so important for me to work for Vicki Goodwin. When I met her last year, I was working on Hava Johnson's campaign for HD 106, and I saw firsthand how hard it is for people to get resources, to have help. Vicki was in her fourth term, or her fourth time running, so I guess third term going to fourth. She took it upon herself to go ahead and mentor the other down ballot candidates who were running, because she too knew how hard it was. And it was important to her for them to have the resources and to understand some of the challenges that they were going to face and how to work their way through that. She even showed up to one of Hava's fundraisers, which was about 3-4 hours away from Austin, and then to be the lead speaker, and then drove back to Austin because she also had her campaign to run. In addition, when I keep telling you she goes around, talks to people, she actually listens. She is one candidate and representative who does listen to people. So when she was in Austin, somebody had come, not in her district, to talk to everybody and say, hey, I have an issue with my water. It's going away and it's dirty. An uncapped oil well is dirtying up the little bit of water that I have left. So Vicki realized that it wasn't just an Austin issue with water disappearing, that it was actually an overall state crisis, which is now one of the things that she has on her ballot. Another issue she likes to talk about is the all-out ban that Dan Patrick has decided in the war on THC. This is not really a good thing. It's a $1 billion industry, not to mention the reason it's a $1 billion industry is it helps a lot of people. So by talking to veterans, business owners, and just your everyday regular people, what she's learned is that this is something that really helps people, whether it's for mental illness, physical pain, joint issues. So when you think about somebody who's going to be in one of the most powerful seats in Texas, the first thing come to mind should be, are they for me? Will they listen when I come talk to them? And will they take that away? She not only takes it away, she makes it her platform. So this is why I think, to me, Vicki Goodwin is the best person for the job.
So from my perspective, I try not to think of myself as all that in a bag of chips, so this running for office is kind of tough. But when I look at my Republican opponent, I know he serves the extremely wealthy, and he serves President Trump. Those are his two goals, and the rest of us, he doesn't care if we eat cake or not, whatever. Where I want what's best for everyone. I want everyone to achieve their full potential. My campaign mantra is putting people's needs first. I already told you when a bill comes through, I'm going to look at it and say, who does this serve? Is this going to be just another tax break for the billionaires? Or is this really doing real things that's going to affect real people's lives in a positive way? And I think between the two of us, that is just night and day. There are still some people that are going to vote for him. I know that. And I'm going to try to reach them and do all that I can to try to help them see they're not helping themselves just by sticking with some red team that might have been beneficial 20 years ago.
Thank you all very much, and that is the end of our group questions, but I have gotten more individual questions submitted for each of you. Starting off, for Mr. TJ Ware, someone was wondering what specifically the tenets of your immigration reform policy would be.
So on immigration reform, first of all, I want to tell you that what we're seeing within MAGA right now is not what traditionally came from the Republican establishment. If you guys would go back on YouTube, watch the debate between Ronald Reagan and George H.W. Bush regarding immigration, because they were so compassionate about the issue and not wanting to do something that would, disenfranchise young undocumented children. We have an American population that has been convinced that criminals are coming here, and I just mean a small but vocal part of the population that leans very red, that criminals and violent people are coming here and that undocumented people are coming here and taking their services, and most of us understand that to be completely wrong. But We have to document everybody. Let's give 6 months, a year, whatever. Everybody come in and get documented. Get a tracking number. We'll do some biometric tracking. And then after that, we can do background checks. Because in 2 years, all of a sudden, when you've got an immigrant that has no documentation, now there could be a reason. Now there could actually be a reason this person has no documentation. You have to do this in a smart way. Like, if you're actually trying to find people that you don't want to be in this country because they have a violent background or something like that, then you have to start by first documenting everyone. Then you give them work permits and you allow them to pay into social services. You set up separate social services funds that can't borrow money so the American public isn't stuck footing the bill. And you allow them to pay into them and produce the goods and the agriculture that American companies need them to produce. And I've been in the construction industry for many years, and I'll just tell you honestly, I've seen 3 white guys on a steep roof in the last 10 years. Okay? The truth is, we have a lot of people that come here and they work harder and they do it for less and they don't bitch and they don't complain and they're just here trying to fight for a better life for their kids, for their family, and for themselves. They want to live the same thing that we recognize as the American dream, and for anybody to go around like a Gestapo, loading people up at the end of a gun, extraordinarily renditioning them to other countries, and doing terrible authoritarian things like this, this is an anathema. This is so wrong. It's so against the American principles that I believe in and that I stand up for. And I think we have been failed by our leaders who are not standing up stronger to what is going on right now in Washington. So we will have a common sense damn solution where people get first documented. We address the issue of them taking American social services, and we stop this type of enforcement. What are they even enforcing? We don't even have a good comprehensive immigration policy anyways. The policy we have now only covers about 3%. If you want to, just legally immigrate, right? That's what they say. Do it legal like the other people. That covers about 3% of the demand. 3% of the demand, and that's completely unacceptable. You wouldn't run an organization this way. You wouldn't want to run a business this way. This isn't working because no people in Washington, in the legislature, have been willing to expend the political capital to fix immigration for decades. We all know it doesn't work. We just never thought somebody would do what they're doing now to enforce it.
Thank you very much for that response. Next up, a question for, let me see. Sorry about that. Yes. Mr. Pappas, what is the significance of the $25 minimum wage specifically?
It's big, it's bold, and it forces people to listen and learn. It forces people to try to defend against it instead of for it. Instead of begging for scraps, we should be telling people that we get a minimum wage.
Thank you very much for that simple and direct response. And with that being said, the next question is for, so I'm trying to keep these as randomized as possible. Mr. Flores, water is becoming a scarce resource in this state. What specific projects do you support or will support to make sure that Texas has good, clean water for generations?
Wow. I go back to what I said in the beginning, the failure of imagination, right? We have a state that has innovated in so many areas. You work Texas Instruments, right?
Yes.
Okay, that's from the oil and gas industry, right? That's where I have started the chip to actually keep track of the oil back in the day. We've done the first heart transplant. We've done all kinds of things. We went to the moon, right? But yet here we are. You know, we have a water problem, we have a power problem, and what are we doing? Oh, let's ban books. Oh, let's put these signs in this bathroom so people don't go in. I know I'm not running for governor, I know that's your thing. But at the end of the day, that's what it is, right? So how can I affect water scarcity is what you're saying, right? Scarcity, sorry, ESL. Well, the state has 13 million acres worth of land and all the coasts. Hey, what can we do with that, right? I know there's talks of doing capture, maybe. I don't know if you know Lake Texana, which is down by my area. It's a large body of water, right? What projects can we do? A lot of people talk about desal. There's some side effects to that.
I just learned of some ways to deal with, if you guys know about it, it's called the brine. How do you deal with that? But it is, I'll give you an example. Corpus Christi, you gotta go look it up. They were building a desal plant. It's big, it's expensive, requires a lot of money. Well, they just found out they just couldn't afford it, even though the state was helping out. And there's another political stuff going on there, right? But at the same time, we're not doing enough. Again, I'll try to answer your question. I'll try to see as much as we can, leveraging our state-owned lands, right? Partnering with the right companies, with the right, maybe, you know, have incubators or universities. Like, hey, let's try things out. And we're just afraid of trying. I mean, seriously, we've become so shy. What happened to being Texans? What happened to being Americans, right? We're going to be safe. We think, oh, we're going to save the world through here. And I mean, to some degree, get the message across. But no, we got to get out there and try things.
Okay, thank you very much. On the topic of something you said in passing, this is actually for both our gubernatorial and our lieutenant governor campaigns. Both of y'all's campaigns are putting a lot of focus on public education. As many people may know, the state of Texas has one of the largest proportions of Mexican American people in the state. We have a lot of ESL children, a lot of people who were raised Spanish speaking at home. What education policies would your campaigns push for that would help promote bilingualism amongst all children so that Texas is first in English and Spanish?
Very specifically, the Head Start program was a wonderful start, but we could expand it. Also expanding childcare from 6 months to kindergarten. Also allowing the ESL children to expand their reading and learning capabilities with the Head Start program and the additional childcare.
So, again, I'm not something specific that Vicki and I have talked about. I will say that education is the forefront of her campaign, making sure that funding is understandable so we get the adequate funding through. This legislative session, she did want to increase a per student basic allotment, I believe, by about $1,300, maybe more. But that alone would have given the resources to our schools to do what they need to do. And again, it comes back to listening. Every school and every ISD is different. So it's easy to say, we're going to do this. But you don't know what this is until they tell you what this is. And going back and listening to our teachers, our students, our parents, they have legislative day. Yes, they do come and they do talk to the legislators. The problem we're having now is no one is listening, or at least not on our Republican side. We have Democrats who are listening. We used to have Republicans until they were, Abbott had them primaried out. But right now, it seems like they're more interested in getting our schools closed. So if we really want to make change, that change comes, again, you've got to find out what that ISD and that school needs. You can't just assume that you know, you've got to ask. And that's one thing that Vicki is really good at.
You know, if I may, sorry, I'm biased, I'm ESL. So my wife is Vietnamese, and my daughter's 9 years old. So when she was born, my wife and I, we made a pact. I would talk to my daughter full-time in Spanish, and my wife would talk to her full-time in Vietnamese. Unbeknown to us, she picked up the English because that's the lingua franca between my wife and I, English, right? The reason why I'm telling this story is not to make myself look better, is because we underestimate children, okay? We just, I think we would, I would like to see Governor Pappas or Lieutenant Governor Vicki, sorry, is really promote that. Is how do we entice that? It is for so long in Texas, it was looked badly. People, previous generations would get hit, would get smacked. They would tell them not to speak the language, not to speak Spanish, right? But anything from brain development, there's so many benefits to it. But again, I think it's a part of our culture. I think it's something we need to stop shying away from. And again, I go back to the lack of imagination, right? That failure of it. But I think you're going to have another opinion. No?
Well, on that note, the actual next question is for you. Obviously, Justice of Peace, you've mentioned all the ways they can help us feel a bit safer in general. What's one way that you can use the position of Justice of Peace to also just encourage a sense of community within the Denton County area, as well as we've mentioned you will have a lot of interactions with children, and we have a very diverse population of children here in Denton ISD.
I'm so glad you asked that. I think it's twofold. One, definitely with the kids and bring them into the courtroom, sharing. I think talking about when things are happening in their home, being open enough to talk to their family about them, and also having, everyone's scared, right? As a parent, if something is happening which leads to an unstable household, you worry that that could cause something terrible to happen to your family. Someone else seeming to help could harm your family or take them away. And so having that open line of communication, unfortunately, because we don't fund our schools properly, a lot of organizations like Communities in Schools step up to provide additional sources to teachers and students, and they have the ability also to share that they're noticing that some students are either not appearing in school or some students have shared some information. So I think information sharing goes a long way. Not just waiting to hear it from one specific source is really important. And we're talking about kids, but another wonderful thing that the Justice of the Peace Court gets to do is weddings. And that can be celebrated. That should be celebrated. And I'm sad because when I went to the Justice of the Peace to get married, I'm South Asian, we're Pakistani, we're also Muslim, and public displays of affection are not something that we do in front of strangers. And sometimes out of respect, we don't do that in front of our, elders or in-laws. Hugs are fine, handshakes, I'm not saying like that, but we don't generally kiss in public. It's not something that our culture is a little bit shy about. We believe that it's a private thing. And it was unfortunate because this is a beautiful moment. It's the one time I'm hoping to get married. And it was really dusty, and we kind of told the guy, we don't really do all that. And he still said it. And then it was awkward and we just hugged. And so I think that's a moment where you can take a second and say, hi, can I make sure I'm pronouncing your names correctly? Because I'm going to wed you. I think that's important. Are there any cultural things that you would like to share? Would you like your family to be a little bit part of it? Would you like me to read a poem? Sometimes people don't know what they can ask for. And that was sort of where I was because again, it was my first time getting married. I didn't know. But I had other friends who sort of stepped out, or they had a Justice of the Peace who actually reached out to them and said, is there something we can do? Our office has done all these different things. And one of my cousins had someone read a poem from something that was really important to them. And I think there are opportunities to celebrate. We don't always have to struggle. Life is hard enough, right? So finding ways that we can positively impact, celebrate people's wins are really important, and allow for the community to share in that. I think sometimes we close off these public office spaces as it only happens one way. Why? We're elected by the people. We should be open and transparent and involved in the community. So share that, within the office, have the office celebrate, have people celebrate. So I think that's what we need to do more of is while people come to the court, unfortunately on some of their scariest days, they also come on hopefully one of their happiest days too.
Thank you very much, and that sounded amazing. And on that note, we have 2 final questions so that we'll have time for everyone to be able to come up and talk to y'all individually, hopefully take some pictures. But first, a question for Ernest, followed by a question for both of our congressional candidates. So, Ernest, one of our audience members wanted to know what specific things, you kind of went over it briefly, but what specific things did you learn from your first campaign that you're going to take into this next one?
It's hard. That it takes a lot of time. It takes a lot of coordination with people, and getting volunteers is really tough. I was really proud when I met Mark Nair and his group. He has a campaign manager, he has a field manager, field organizer, and there were a couple other people, and they seem to be mostly full-time on his campaign, and they're all volunteer. Around here, a lot of people want paid, and we're just not getting the donations to hire up a bunch of people. So we're doing everything we can with volunteers, but it's just really hard. Sometimes you get super lucky. There's somebody who wants to come in and jump in and do something and really does it great for you, and you take off and it goes. Other times you have to do a little more yourself. for me, I'm no longer working full-time. Last time I was working full-time, and that took a lot of time, and then you come home and work all night, and then go back to work and work all day, and it's almost like being a student again, it's terrible. But yeah, I would really have to think about if I've learned something particular. I know how to do the finances. I had a treasurer that did that all for me last time. This time I'm doing it, and I've even learned some shortcuts to where I can upload everything at once instead of this person gave $5, this person gave. So there's a lot to it, and I just wouldn't know what to tell you exactly other than that.
Got it. Thank you very much for that answer. And of course, our final question will go to both congressional candidates. Obviously, we asked you all about your thoughts on the national party's direction. And this one from one of our audience members is a lot more direct. If you are elected to the House of Representatives, will you support Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries either to maintain his position as Minority Leader or to become Speaker of the House?
That would be a bridge to cross when I get there. I'm really working on the campaign and trying to get there. I remember doing a lot of poll greeting during the final election last time, and you could see the Republican tent and my little area where people were coming to, and it just seemed like 2/3 over there and 1/3 over here. But then towards the end, it sort of seemed like it swung, and I kind of thought, wow, they're not going to see this coming. Things are finally getting good, but we didn't win. So I'm not too worried about the next step, but I recognize that's a valid question that at least somebody's having. So at this point, I would certainly, as a new guy on the block, if Hakeem Jeffries was whom everybody else was getting behind, I would definitely support that. If there was, multiple candidates, I would have to look and see what are we looking at. I don't hold anything against Hakeem Jeffries so far. I've watched him and I've listened to him, and I think he's done a lot of good. I think a lot of times we, the armchair quarterbacks, sometimes get a little too nitpicky on somebody said this or somebody said that, and so I'm not going to cut him down for that. I appreciate what he's done as minority leader, and I would stand by him unless there was a reason not to.
Good. Thank you very much. Mr. Ware?
Well, I don't want to pretend that I know anything about inter-party politics for the Democrats in the House. But I think that there is quite a bit of a runway between now and then, because what we're talking January 2027, right? So there's a lot of time between now and then, and it's pretty dynamic. A lot of things are happening. I really hope that multiple strong leaders rise up within the House, within the Democratic Party, that can excite people and unite people and invigorate people and stand on their principles. And if that can happen, I think that the cream will rise to the top.
Yeah. Thank you both very much, and thank you. And I just want to end this off by saying thank you to all the candidates for coming down. Thank you for answering our questions. Thank you to all of you, whether you're in the audience right now or you're watching from YouTube either today or 5 days from now. Thank you so much for getting involved. Thank you to our lovely academic advisor, Dr. Jennifer Lane, who's in the audience. Thank you for my fellow club members who helped me put this all together. I believe, Dr. Lane, you have something you want to say if you want to. November 9th. All right. November 9th is the day of the election day for the constitutional amendments. In addition to, 4th? Oh, right. I know what you're referring to now. Yeah. November 9th, we have another major event that we've scheduled, working together with a local organization around Denton County. We are going to be hearing from some of the Attorney General candidates. We're still in the details part, but I'm looking forward to hosting that here, and I'm looking forward to seeing all your faces here again, and hopefully some new faces. Now, with that being said, again, thank you everyone for coming. Thank you everyone who contributed. And if you're a member of College Democrats, thank you for being one of our members. If you're not a member of College Democrats, join. You took your time to come listen to us. You might as well see what we're doing the rest of our meetings, right? With that being said, if the candidates could spread out with their merch across these different tables, and if everyone could get into orderly lines to talk to the candidates, receive some campaign literature, and just maybe ask some one-on-one questions that I couldn't get to.
I'm sorry, can we take a group picture since we're all here right now?
Yes, actually.
Is everyone
that
okay with
sounds
that? Yeah? Get on in. Come on.
For those of you who are in my officer team or in my club, this is mandatory now, I've decided.
Not all at once.
You know, let's get in front of the tables. Let's get in front of the tables.
That's because your legs are this tall.
Yes, this is taking me a
Stop
long
dressing like a
time to
bum.
get over there.
You can only get roasted.
For those still watching the stream, thank you very much for watching the stream, and have a good rest of your night.
Let them know about the karaoke.
Let me turn